Hello Pokemon trainers, welcome back to another Pokemon TCG Pocket video here on iStarly TV. So Eevee Grove is now live in Pokemon TCG Pocket, and of course the set is very heavily focused on Eevees and the eeveelutions, but there's some surprises. We got, I think, a total of 6 EXs, correct me if I'm wrong, and the non-eeveelution EXs were definitely a surprise because we got the spoiler for Eevee EX, Sylveon EX, and Flareon EX, which of course, with how many eeveelutions there are, and the fact that I'm sure each of them is someone's favorite, I'm sure there are people who are disappointed that we didn't get Vaporeon EX or Umbreon EX, etc. But there are actually 3 other EX Pokemon in this set that are non-eeveelutions. So first and foremost, we have Primarina EX, which is really exciting, of course, because we got Incineroar EX and Decidueye EX in Celestial Guardians, and there was no Primarina EX, so I'm sure people were upset about that, you know, Primarina fans. And this Primarina EX looks really strong. So it's a stage 2, obviously, but of course, rare candy exists. It's 180 HP, which is, I think, the same as both Incineroar. Is Decidueye 170? I think it might be 170, but at least Incineroar has 180, and it has the attack Hydro Pump. For 1 water energy, it does 40 plus damage. So at its baseline, it can do 40 damage for a single energy. That is really strong. You know, we've seen obviously Pokemon like Farfetch'd and Tentacruel, which I don't think ever has seen play, but those are Pokemon that also do 40 damage for 1 energy. The difference is, 1, this has a massive 180 HP, and 2, it just gets better from there. So the more energy you have on this, the stronger it gets. If it has 1 more energy, it does 40 more damage. So for 2 energy, you can do 80 damage. And then for 3 energy, you can do 100 with the move Sparkling Aria, and it heals 20 damage from this Pokemon. So this seems like such a strong Pokemon because it has that massive HP stat. The fact that it's a stage 2 is mitigated by Rare Candy's existence, and it's good at every point in the game. Turn 2, you know, you can hit for 40. The following turn you can hit for 80. Then the following turn you can hit for 100. So it just really scales like really, really nicely. And at every energy point, it's doing something, which I think is really strong. Obviously, you know, you compare it to something like Rampardos, who can do 130 damage for a single energy, which is insane. But it has the drawback that it damages itself. Also, Rampardos evolves from a fossil, which is rough. So this is just something that I think is really strong. And once you get to the point where you're doing 100 a turn, you know, 100 damage for 3 energy is not amazing, but it's not bad at all. And you're healing yourself every turn from, again, that massive HP stat. You're also a water Pokemon, so you have Irida that you could play. I just think this looks like a strong card overall. And of course, I'm sure there are a lot of people who are going to try to play it because there's probably a lot of Primarina fans. Next, let's talk about Snorlax EX, which is great because, I mean, personally, I love Snorlax. Now, unfortunately, I'm not sure this Pokemon is fantastic. Sadly, it is a basic EX. It has 160 HP, which is absolutely massive. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the highest HP stat we have for a basic? I could be wrong on that. Correct me in the comments below, or tell me how right I am. It has an ability Full Mouth Manner, kind of a weird name. At the end of your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you heal 20 damage from it. So, I mean, that's really good too. If you put a tool on it, this can be really just sustainable. Like if you put like a Rocky Helmet or a Poison Barb on it, you can just rack up damage on the enemy while you're healing yourself every turn. And 160 is a really amazing breakpoint because there are few attacks in the game that actually one-shot you. I know it's insane to talk about that, but I mean, obviously when you have stuff like Giratina or even Rampardos that can just kind of blast through things with one single move, it can be kind of scary out there. But with Snorlax's 160 HP, especially if you have tools involved, and especially with that Full Mouth Manner, you really can just kind of stick around for a long time. So I think that's what makes this card good, is just the ability to absorb damage. This is a great pair with Ilima, I'm going to say. because you can just kind of use this as a sponge for damage and set up your bench. and then just like pick it up with Ilima later on and they don't get a prize for it. So that's, I think, one of the best combinations with this card. Its attack is Flop Down Punch, 4 colorless energy, 130 damage. Definitely decent damage, but it also says this Pokemon is now asleep. Also, Berry only reduces the cost of Snorlax's attacks. Sadly, not Snorlax EX. So unfortunately, I do not believe Berry works with this card. If it did, this would be amazing. If it did, this would actually probably be broken. So that's kind of sad because I love me some Berry Snorlax combos. But unfortunately, you know, I still think this card's pretty solid. No pun intended. But, you know, kind of an awkward one as well. But we'll see how it goes. Let me know in the comments what you think of Snorlax EX. And then finally, the third EX of this set is, or sorry, I guess technically the 6th EX, but the third new one that we didn't know about is Dragonite EX. This is another really, really awesome one. 180 HP, of course it is a stage 2. Very importantly, this has no weaknesses. So I think that's really big because it means that, you know, there's nothing in the game that's going to do extra damage to you. It has Giga Impact for 1 water, 1 electric, and 1 colorless energy. It does 180 damage, but it says during your next turn, this Pokemon can attack. Now, I do believe, similar to Celesteela and Buzzwole, if you retreat this and then bring it right back in, I do believe you are able to attack again. So for example, if you have this in play, you go for Giga Impact, and then the next turn you like leaf this and retreat it. Maybe, for example, you retreat it into, oh, never mind. I was going to say retreat it into Snorlax and then use Ilima, but you can't use 2 supporters. Maybe you have like, I don't know, for example, 5 energy on this, you retreat it, then you Ilima your Snorlax, and then you go right back into Dragonite. I do think you will be able to attack. That's a really roundabout way, and that's rarely ever going to happen, but yeah, there might be cases where you can still attack with this. And even if you can't attack with this, just like being able to heal this with like Irida or Pokemon Center Lady or use a tool card on it can be really strong. And 180 damage is going to knock out just about anything in the game. If there's something that's going to have, like, there's Pokemon with 180 HP, but then if you put a cape on them, then they have 200. You know, you can just use red for that. So this can just basically one-shot anything in the game, which is really, really powerful, obviously. And so, you know, if they have a really strong Pokemon, you can kind of one-shot it with Giga Impact. And then the fact that maybe next turn you can't attack is fine because you just knocked out their strongest thing, maybe. I don't know. I love Dragonite. Dragonite EX looks amazing. It'll be fun to try this out in the game. But, you know, we'll see how it goes. Let me know in the comments what you think of Dragonite and Snorlax. I think they're kind of tricky to evaluate because on the one hand, they do look really good. But, of course, they definitely have their downsides. So, yeah, we'll see how they turn out. A couple other Pokemon I wanted to talk about from this new set, you know, that we didn't already know about from the trailer. One that sticks out to me is actually Ambipom. So, Ambipom, it has 90 HP. It's a stage 1, so already not great. And it does 50 damage for 2 energy, which is also not amazing, but it has an ability Catching Tail. Once during your turn, you may put a random Pokemon tool card from your deck into your hand. So this is actually really good with something like Skarmory or even Pachirisu EX, Pokemon that kind of require you to have tool cards. Not saying this is going to be great, but I think this can be a fun one to play because you can freely put tool cards into your hand from your deck, which is really powerful for sure. And it's a colorless Pokemon, so you can play it with anything. So this is a fun one. We'll see if it ends up being really good, but I don't know. I'm excited for that. And then another one that's kind of cool is How, which is of course your rival / friend from Gen 7. It's a supporter. During this turn, attacks used by your Decidueye EX, Incineroar EX, or Primarina EX do plus 30 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So now that we have Primarina EX in the game, this is awesome in any of those decks. Obviously, you're never going to play more than one of those together, but you know, if you are playing an Incineroar deck, this is actually very good. Same with, I mean, obviously Primarina or Decidueye, whichever of those you're playing, you probably want to put this in your deck. And those are Pokemon that are pretty sustainable on their own. Like, you can kind of build a deck around all 3 of those and just kind of have them be the main focus of the deck and maybe have one or two other Pokemon that can back them up, but have them be, again, the center of attention, because they're all pretty strong. So the ability to do an extra 30 damage, I think, is massive. That, like, guarantees some kills with Incineroar or Primarina. It's a little awkward with Decidueye, because if you're attacking their bench, you actually don't do the extra 30 damage, but it's still pretty good. And then finally, one card I wanted to talk about is Leftovers, a brand new tool card. At the end of your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, heal 10 damage from it. So that's going to be a fun one. We'll see how that plays out as well. Definitely let me know in the comments if you have any ideas of Pokemon that it goes great with. I mean, I think the first one that probably comes to most people's minds is going to be that Snorlax EX, because it has 160 HP, and because Snorlax's ability is basically like a built-in Leftovers, so it'll be fun to build around that. But let me know in the comments. This is a really exciting set. Are there cards in the set that I did not talk about that you wish I did, that you think look pretty good? Let me know. You know, which of the eeveelution cards is your favorite? They all have amazing artwork, and they're all really cool in their own way. I'm excited for Sylveon EX. No, I'm actually excited for Espeon. I think Espeon can be very strong. So thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, please subscribe, and please let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on Eevee Grove. I'll see you next time.